Hello and welcome to Cop On Podcast. I'm with Brian. I'm very, 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 very happy to be with Brian again after what's been too long. And before bringing Brian into this conversation, I want to start off with a poem because I know that JT in Australia particularly got in touch saying how much he loves the poem. So thanks for listening, JT. This is for you. This poem is called The Chase by Anne Stanford. Sooner or later, we must go after them. Clumsy fools. They can never slip away without stumbling into a table in the corridor, crashing the lamp. They bring the whole house down. Every door opens, lights go on. The butler comes up from the wine cellar. They make a run for it. The car in the driveway is locked, the battery dead, but they get it rolling, and we follow over roaring bridges, through broken hedgerows, turning like wind devils. Smash over the guardrail. Their car spirals. So, Brian, I mean, I was... You know, my initial feeling, I just did a quick review for Blood Red, and the quote from Vivian Stanshall, the great writer, songwriter, came to mind. And he said, "The sun chased the shadows across the room like convent girls being menaced by a tramp." And in that metaphor, we, of course, are the sunlight, and Manchester City are the convent girls. And I wonder how scared these convent girls are going to get now that they know we're just 3 points behind again. They've got 24 hours to think about it before playing an upsurgent Arsenal team. I wonder, I mean, it's a great position to be in, chasing them and just hoping that their car spirals. I think it will. I mean, we've got the psychological advantage now, Brian, haven't we?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the car analogy and just pivot away from the schoolgirls because I feel that could go wrong quickly.
Very, very, very prudent.
Brian's now been cancelled. Yeah, well, look, we're doing what we're required to do. I mean, it hasn't been pretty at times, but we're exactly where we want to be. We're 3 points behind them. We're breathing their neck. We're not going anywhere. Every week, the hoping we mess up, therefore it's all finished, and it's not happening. And today was a classic example of winning ugly, right? As champions tend to do in seasons. Occasionally, you're gonna not be at your best, and I mean that's got to be a bit more scary for City as well. It's like not only are we right behind them, haven't lost a game in God knows how long, but we can put in pretty bad performances occasionally and still look very comfortable overall.
That's interesting. You think it was a bad performance? I mean, I thought it was winning ugly. I thought it was very pretty today in many respects, but you weren't convinced.
There's a bit of a delay in the video there. You can just see my look. Oh, you'll see it in a second now. There you go.
Did we put up?
Yeah. No, I thought it was pretty bad out there today, and I think the stats kind of back that up a little bit. I mean, if you look at, I'm not really a stats guy, but I was watching it with my good buddy Carl as usual, and I said to him, I wonder if the stats will back up how bad we think this has been. And I mean, I don't know what the individual stats are, but I know that like Brighton had more possession, according to one I think it was BBC, that they had 52% possession, which is crazy considering it's Brighton and this is the juggernaut that is this Liverpool team. And I just thought it was so sloppy. There was so many sloppy passes that were just played just behind or not enough weight on it. It just didn't seem fluid today. I mean, I didn't feel, as the game went on, I didn't feel worried. I mean, the first 5-10 minutes, I was a little bit anxious because I thought, oh, I hope Inter haven't laid down the blueprint of how to play this Liverpool team and just kind of get right up at them very quickly. But as the game went on, it looked like we were kind of in control, but it wasn't the best. It wasn't the prettiest game I've seen for a while. I don't know.
Well, interesting stuff. I mean, the stats I've got from Google, we'll get into more detailed stats at the moment, is that, yes, indeed, Brighton had 52% possession to our 48%. And yes, I know what you mean in terms of there were times where we could have been more precise, but I think credit needs to go to Brighton because they're brilliantly well organised and they play with a 3-4-3 with, huge amount of pressing that goes on all the time. So it's very, very difficult to play against them when they have, great players like Bissouma breaking things up. Lewis Dunk is the most underrated defender in the league, in my opinion. But he might not get into the Liverpool team, but he's incredibly underrated. Sorry, how you say underrated, of course, Joel Matip comes to mind, but he's just won Premier League Player of the Month, and we'll talk about him in a bit too. But the stats also say that Liverpool had 18 shots to Brighton's 8 and 9 on target to Brighton's 3. And I think Liverpool played a really clever game against this tough, possession-based Brighton team. I think Brighton could have chosen. I think Brighton's most dangerous parts of the game were actually from long balls from their goalkeeper in the first 10, 15 minutes, or long balls over the top. But they try and play out from the back more often than they go for the long ball, and that's why Liverpool sometimes just let them have it at the back. And I think that's why the possession count is in their favour, but they had 425 passes to our 397, and our passing accuracy wasn't great, 78%, whereas usually we look to about 85% as a benchmark for being a good performance or a very good performance. But that's interesting. Yeah, okay, I see what you mean about sloppy and things. But what were the positives coming out of the game apart from the 3 wonderful points and the pressure on City?
Look, I was a bit apprehensive about this game before kickoff because this is a classic banana skin. It's a game that you could go into with thinking that the points are already in the bag. I mean, everything is pointing to a Liverpool win and a comfortable Liverpool win at that, because I think Brighton had lost 5 games in a row or something like that, and we're on a very good run of form. And you look at that Brighton team, you think we should be able to manage this. And they're the kind of games that just out of the blue, you get a 1-1 draw, It's the same with City, right? The point, if City drop points, it won't be against the teams that you expect them to drop points against. It'll be something completely random. I thought to myself, like, I want to get to that City game with it meaning everything. And so today it was just about winning. And I think, look, I'm a little bit tough on the team and the performance in some respects, but I do think the schedule is taking its toll on the team. They looked a bit leggy, and I don't blame them. There's no criticism here coming from me. Wasn't the most fluid. Sometimes I've watched the games where you think, oh, we should have scored a lot more, and we should have had a better, result than that. And we come away with maybe just 1-0. But that game, even though we had 18 shots on target, I mean, a lot of them were. There was some of it that was I found quite annoying. The inability to look up and pick a man out. There was a couple of opportunities where they just had to slide the ball across, and it's an absolute sitter of a goal. But the positives are we got 3 points. It was a very good performance in terms of we got the job done. Touch wood, Salah is okay. And onwards we roll, and Diaz gets another goal. And I think Diaz was fantastic again. So he was the highlight for me.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great positive from the game. Let's talk about what you loved about Diaz's performance in particular, because for me it was like the way that, of course, there's the bravery that I love, not only of his goal, but when the ball is slightly away from him, he's sliding to win it back. He's putting his body on the line. But it's the most beautiful thing for me was the fact that he's still sprinting in the 93rd minute. He's still getting chances to score. And yes, you're absolutely right. He could have passed. You could see there was one right at the end there where Jurgen was getting mad because he could have just slipped in there. I think it was Sadio Mane for an easy goal, but he didn't. He chose to be selfish, and there was a lot of selfishness going on. But I loved the way that he's just non-stop. For the last 20 minutes, Brighton were cooked. They were fried. They were pooped. They were knackered. And we just looked like we just kept going. It was like a sort of, it was like the first 20 minutes, but it was the last 20 minutes. And I think credit to the fitness, but Diaz, I mean, wow, it's so exciting. What do you love about his game?
Yeah, I think you can tell he's a winner. He's competitive. I mean, I really enjoyed the competition that him and Lamptey, that battle was brilliant. Watching that, because I rate Lamptey very, very highly. I think we've talked about him a few times before on the show, and you could see it was like a tennis match. Started off with advantage Diaz, and then Lamptey was like, "Okay, I'm going to show you who's boss." And he did. And then Diaz was like, "No, I'm the better player. I'm going to show you who's boss." And then he basically owned Lamptey for the rest of the game. And he was like, he really put him in his place. I mean, Lamptey was their most effective player. And most of the dangerous stuff came from him. But Diaz handled him. And he has that... he has shades of Luis Suarez about him. He's got gnarl. He's got a trick in him, and I think a lot of people don't realize just how complicated our system is and how demanding it is as a football. We just watch it; it looks beautiful. We score lots of great goals, but we don't actually sit down to really think just how technical the movement of play is sometimes. And that's why I think Jurgen doesn't rush players into the team more times than not. They'll sit it out for maybe 4 or 5 months whilst they're getting used to things, but he's gone in straight away because I think his football intelligence is obviously so high, and he played a similar position at Porto, that he's just gone straight into the team, and he hasn't looked out of place once. So I mean, it's the same way I felt about when Jota came in. I feel about him. He's like right there. He's at the right level. He's pushing the three guys that we've got already, and now, God, we've got so many options. I'm looking forward to watching him play for the next 5, 6, 7 years. At Liverpool, just banging in all kinds of crazy goals.
It's lovely, isn't it? I mean, we were at the beginning of a beautiful adventure. We're like Dorothy with the magical castle in the distance. This is wonderful stuff. Today's result was our 8th win in a row. So before going into the match in more detail, and thanks to the people who are joining us on YouTube as well. Do get your comments in and questions in. We'd be happy to answer them. 8 wins in a row. It's the first time we've won 8 consecutive Premier League games since that run of 18 successive victories that ended in February 2020, which of course was the season 1920 when we won the league. The title-winning form is back, and it's just as an overview, it's not easy to win one Premier League game, but to win 8 in a row. I mean, how long do you think this can last, Brian, without tempting fate?
Well, I think if we want to be champions of England, we are going to have to put in an extraordinary effort and performance, because like it or lump it, that's what this City team are. We all understand this. They, Pep and what he's built there is just ridiculous, and the fact that we are with them stride for stride just just says it all. And if we are going to beat them, we have to be just as amazing as they are, and that means we just have to keep on going. We can't afford, like, the standards that both teams have set now. I mean, this is the golden era of the Premiership. The people will be talking about these two teams in 50 years, 20 years, 60 years time and go, do you remember that City Liverpool teams that just pushed each other to those ridiculous levels? I just think we have to, at the moment, it's in our hands. We turn up to each game and we find a way to win, and we just keep that pressure until they wilt and they cave. That's the only way we're going to win this, is that we can't afford to lose a game for the rest of the season unless City lose a game. And, we can't be the first to crack. If we crack first, it's over, I think, because that will just give them so much strength. But if we just, each week, if we just keep turning up, finding a way to get it done, then the pressure will start. Because remember, they're playing an entire season without an out-and-out striker. That's gotta have to come back to, like, I know they're brilliant and everything, but surely that can't go on for the entire season without that coming home to roost at some stage. So I just think we have to keep it on going. It has to be. We have to get into that game unbeaten. We have two games now. I think we've got Arsenal and one more game. What was the game before? They have one more game before City.
Yeah, it's against Watford on the 2nd of April. So we got Arsenal, then Forest in the cup, and then Watford at home, which is another lunchtime or breakfast or brunch kickoff. And then it's Manchester City, Liverpool on the 10th of April at 5:30. I think that's European time, so 4:30 English time, or Scouse time, excuse me. But yeah. I mean, Arsenal. It's in Arsenal's hands as much as anything, because they're playing City tomorrow as we're recording this, and then we're playing them in midweek. Yeah, I mean, away from home. I'm going to slightly disagree with you, though. I don't think it's over if we drop points at Arsenal, because I just think that there are more twists and turns to come. I think it's highly unlikely that we win all of the rest of our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games in the Premier League. It's highly unlikely that we'll win all of them. But equally, it's highly unlikely for City to win all of them. I think the big crunch match, we have to go to the Etihad and get a win. I'm going to say that. But for the other games, I can see both teams, who are not perfect, because I don't think perfection really exists, although they're very close to it. But I just think, things can go wrong. The car can spiral. The car can spiral. But no, very interesting. Alan's in the chat, which is great. He says, great to have you back on, Brian. Matip was super again today. And as for Diaz, wow, what a player we have on our hands. Absolutely. Joel Matip, player of the month, right? For the Premier League. I don't know if you saw that. He's we're going to talk about that now. Joel Matip, player of the month. I thought he was up there with Diaz as the man of the match today. I'll just bring up some stats in a minute. But did he catch your eye as someone who was putting his limbs everywhere? Of course, he set up the first goal with a beauty of a pass.
Yeah, no, he was brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and I mean, he's arguably one of the best, if not the best, ball playing centre back in Europe at the moment. It's like we always throw the plaudits towards Verge for his commanding presence and performance down there, but when it comes to taking the ball out, I can't think of a better player. I mean, he's like Agger but better. I mean, he's doing that more and more. He's bringing that into his game. He's not just taking the ball out and going on like mindless runs, but there's an end product more times than not to it as well. Like, he normally lays the ball off. I mean, he I trust him more than some of our strikers to pass the ball at some stages, you know, because he has an eye for the channel pass, and he's, you know, he very rarely makes a mistake at the back, and you know, I think what a joy now that here we are watching him in his, you know, in his peak, going having a great run, playing with Verge. The two of them together are such a strong partnership. They're everything. You combine them together, and it's like, what do they not have? It's you know, it's just so difficult to play, and they understand each other so well, and you can tell they have deep affection for each other. Um, so or Verge does for him anyway, that's for sure.
It might not be reciprocated, but yeah.
Yeah, we don't know. You know, Madsen could be a serial killer for all we know. He doesn't let much out. But yeah, no, he was brilliant. He was brilliant. I think all the stats, you know, put him as the man of the match in terms of like his actual contribution is to the game as well. So yeah, that was brilliant. He was a real highlight actually of that game. You know, just how good he was.
Yeah, WhoScored.com have him as the man of the match with 7.88. I don't know what game they're watching, though. I don't know how they count the defensive stats, because they said no tackles and no interceptions with 5 clearances and 1 blocked shot. But I think I remember at least 2 blocked shots. But anyway,
I think their goalkeeper had a few tackles.
Oh gosh, yeah, we'll talk about that in a moment. But yeah, Joel Matip. I mean, you know, those were his defensive stats. With the ball, he had 5 out of 7 accurate long passes, which is excellent, including his one key pass of the match, which is superb. He only touched the ball 44 times, but 35 of those were passes. So he was laying it off first time most of the time, which is quite interesting. And otherwise, I don't know. It's just he got that assist. I mean, you know, and he's apparently he won 4 aerial duels as well. So that was the most in the team. Virgil won 3. And you know, it's great to see them both in their prime. They're both 30 years old, and they complement each other's games so well. Whenever Virgil makes a mistake, Joel's there, and likewise, with the rare times when Joel makes a mistake, Virgil is there and it's lovely. We've got to enjoy this, because you can be. I think it's important, like, because we do like to, every time we have a discussion, we like to single out players and talk about them. But you've got to feel the same as I do, Brian. You've got to absolutely love all of these guys, don't you? Because they're just, all of them, 1 to 14, including the subs today, were, you know, like, regardless of what you feel about the performance, whether it's slightly off or not, but you've got to love them all, don't you? They're all brilliant players.
Yeah, completely. We were talking about this. We were kind of like in awe. We were going through the team as they were playing, like Robbo, you know, Verge, just the characters, like all the various different characters. Such a good blend of good lads there. And I mean, it's this team is a reflection of the boss, 100%. You know, I never run out of words to say about him. You know, he's such a thoughtful guy, and you know, and he's not a saint, right? That's what I like about him. He's very wise. He says all the right things, but then, you know, he's one of the guys as well, and he's one of us. He's a normal, as he calls himself, the normal one. But he's not normal. And, you know, what he's built there with this team, and how they play for each other, and, you know, what they do. I mean, I think we're so used to this. We've lived with this team now for like so long, and we're so used to success. We're so used to winning every game that, you know, sometimes you can take it for granted. I was okay. Like, I mean, the performance in my eyes wasn't great today, but I was really happy with the team in the respect, and I wasn't angry at them. It wasn't. I mean, I understand. I really do think that they've had such a a run of games, big games as well, not small games, and they're in such a high pressure situation where they're chasing this City team, and there's no room for error. And they're betting a new player, and I mean, football. If football was just turn up and win every single game, what would be the fun in that? So no, yeah, I mean, special, because like Allison, you've got Allison goal, you got Verge, you got Matip, you've got Millie, you've got Salah.
Think of them
You've got
all. I mean, that's the
Hendo.
thing. I do this
Yeah.
sometimes. Yeah, just
Harry.
go through them all and just get so buzzing. Yeah, even the ones
Yeah.
on the bench, the ones who didn't play. Cade Gordon, I love him. And
he's brilliant.
He's great.
Yeah.
But anyway, we can talk like this for hours. I do want to talk about the incident. Yes, because Gary's in the chat as well. Hi, Gary. Really great to have you with us. He says, hi, all the foul on Diaz was a booking. Interesting. That's Gary's take on it. I agree with him, actually. I don't think it was a red card. But the fact that it's not even a booking, and more to the point, the ref wasn't even sent to the monitor, is yet another weekly episode of how to fuck things up, if you excuse me, my language. I mean, it's they just they would screw up one of those bulbs that you're supposed to push in, wouldn't they? These VAR idiots, nincompoops. What did you make of that decision?
Yeah, it was horrendous. It really was, because I mean, not only does he it's dangerous play, very dangerous play, but he clearly moves his hand down to, I mean, the damage was from his knee. Okay, so a goalkeeper can get away with that because he's coming out and he's spreading himself big, and okay, fine, you can see how they could not give that. But as the ball goes past him, and if you watch the replays, he brings his hand down to make contact with Diaz's face, and that's an unnatural movement. It's not like, his knee being up there, you could say that's natural, but his hand coming down to do damage on Diaz is not natural. And I was just thinking, how can we get around this? How can we fix this? And I think what they need to do, they won't do this, but I think what would be a good idea is if they had the same VAR team officiating the games week in, week out. They have a set number of VAR referees, and at least we get some kind of consistency now, because it's not just who's in the box, but it's also who's on the pitch and how they interact with each other. Like the combinations are endless, and it makes a big difference. You put that guy with that guy, you get one outcome. You get that guy with that guy, you get a totally different outcome, and it's really flip a coin. I just also want to mention, I hope Alan, our regular contributor, Alan C, is getting better, because I know that he pulled one of his I was going to say his arse muscle.
I don't know which,
but it's not. He didn't pull his arse muscle. He's got COVID, so he's better or recovering.
I don't think he pulled his arse muscle. No, I think it is COVID, and of course, yes, we wish him all the best. Yeah, of course we do. Yeah, we wish you all the best. And Alan's in the chat now.
Of the COVID.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I'm lucky they've still avoided it until now. But no, and get well to Doug, who was in the chat earlier as well. So it's great to have Doug
also pulled his arse muscle, I believe.
In the chat, yes, as well, or strained a bollock or something. But anyway, get well soon. Alan says, if Diaz didn't score, would VAR have given a penalty, and then would he have got a red card? And that's entirely possible. I think it would have depended on what happened to the ball, really. Let's say, for example, he headed the ball and it came back off the post and he was fouled, and it came back off the post and went into the middle of the goal. Then you would say that Diaz would definitely have run onto the ball and scored. So that would be denial of a clear goal scoring opportunity. Whether you're going to send the goalkeeper off for dangerous play, that's where this challenge was on the limit for me. I would say it's yellow card for me, just about, because he was just, if you watch it in full speed, he was genuinely going for the ball, and Luis Diaz was just quicker and sharper. So there was, I know your intentions and how much malice you have doesn't come into it in terms of the rules. But I just think it wasn't particularly dangerous because at the end of the day, there was no severe damage to Diaz.
But that's the problem. I think,
Mhm.
if we take, sorry for interrupting, but
That's all
I
right.
think, I think back of Virgil, what happened to him with, and Everton. There are, some goalkeepers know they can get away with that, right? They know because they're a goalkeeper, they can go out there and they can do some damage and whatnot. And I think the game needs to change. I mean, a lot of the times you see referees not give something and then they realize the player is seriously injured and then they get the card out and they go, okay, it's a red card. Or you can hear that they get somebody's talking in their ear and they think, no, this is a red card. And it shouldn't be not a red card just because the player got lucky and wasn't seriously injured. Because
Okay.
I think, if you go back, the damning piece of evidence with this particular incident is the fact that he really does make a very clear movement with his trailing hand after the ball's gone. The play has gone past. He just wants to connect with the player, and that for me was just a disgrace. And the fact that he didn't even send him over to the monitor just to have a look at it. There's this whole thing now. I think there's a real stigma to that because they now, if a referee goes to the monitor, more times than not, it's a decision. It's something has happened, and it's you almost get the feel like that. Sometimes it's like, oh, you've missed this. Oh, I don't want to make you look bad that you've missed something so glaringly obvious that I'm going to send you to the monitor. But I'm just really happy he was okay because that guy properly clotheslined him, and he could have been in a neck brace coming off, with taking morphine, because it looked really nasty in real time. So great that he was okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Okay, in terms of VAR solutions, the one that I've had for ages, and for me, it will work. And like you say, they're not going to do it. It's twofold. My solution for the VAR to take a lot of the controversy out. Or there will still be subjective decisions. There will still be. That's the nature of football. But first thing you need to do is scrap the clear and obvious error nonsense and the actual. The question that should be asked is, what is the correct decision? With any VAR review, what is the correct decision? That's all you need to ask. But then what you need to have is 3 different VAR refs who all have an equal say and the majority rules, because there are so many things. Like in this incident, like I said, for me, it's still a yellow, but I see what you mean for a red. So if there were 3 of us in this, it's a subjective decision, and maybe 2 of us would vote yellow and 1 of us would vote red, then at least we've talked about it, and it's not unanimous, but we've got, and if there was some kind of transparency as well, so people could actually, look at these decisions and see how the VAR refs voted, because just to have one person looking at the monitor just opens things up for error.
So bad. And they're a private company. Who knew? Run by Mike Riley.
And I've been trying to get hashtag PGMOL out trending on Twitter. So
that's a bit dodgy, isn't it? I'm amazed that that's a thing. I was like, wow, really? Yeah. How could that be? It seems a bit weird. Anyway,
but it's very weird. It's a weird little thing they have, but hopefully they will be replaced. Great to have Gelty in the chat. He said he missed the match today. He or she, excuse me, or they even missed the match today. So I'm just popping in to wish you all well. I'll be back later to watch in full. Well, thank you very much, Gelty. It's great to have you with us and enjoy the game. I really enjoyed today's game. I really did, because I thought it was just a cracking game of football, as they say. I think there were 2 good teams. Brighton had chances. And one thing I wanted to talk about, because I think we could go into the details about the stats, but I just think that the general overview of the game is almost more interesting in this one, because there were some great little tactical things and little things that on the eye were quite pleasing and other times terrifying for us. One one thing I looked at before the game, our friend Karen sent a lovely stat about the all season long, our NPXG, our non-penalty expected goals, aka, okay, don't get scared with the XG word, anyone listening. It's just the amount of chances we create apart from penalties. That's all it is. That's all it's a stat for. And Liverpool, basically, if you take all of our Premier League games, our average is around about 3 goals to 1 conceded. And I've been thinking about that for a few hours actually since I saw that graphic. I found that really interesting because I think that feels about right to me, Brian, that we go into matches and it is harem scarum quite a lot of times. And there are obvious holes in our defense. As I said today, Sanchez's long balls caught us out, numerous times in the first 15 minutes. But, my question is, are you happy with that, Brian, as I am? Because it means going forward, we've got more men forward and we can just create more and we can, on average, score more than them. Or are you looking for a bit more control and a bit more, like controlled possession, a slower game?
No, I love the way we play. Absolutely love it. And as you were talking, I was just thinking about this. I think we're the best team in the league. I think we're better than City. I think that it's very close between the two teams, but I think we play better football, and it's more entertaining. And the stats show that. And it's difficult. I think we set our performance bar so high, not just with the goals, because we always there was a time then where Liverpool were just scoring 3 goals every single game, 3 goals, 3 goals, 3 goals, 4 goals, 4 goals, and you kind of forget how rare that is normally for your team to go anywhere and score 3 goals, whereas it was just standard stuff for us. We just expect, another hat trick or another 3 goals. Everybody up front has scored, great. Our defenders are scoring, great. And I think you start to look for things to be unhappy about, right? You start to nitpick because you can't just say this is brilliant, isn't it? It's like we don't live in that world. When it is, it's just brilliant. I think even like today, there will be little drop-offs in performances, and that's normal. But I think the most important thing, if you want to win trophies and you want to win things, is that you just have to find a way to get the result. There's no excuses. There's like you could have an argument. You could say, "Oh, we were tired, or we've been traveling, or this." Then there'll always be reasons why you cannot win a game of football. But if you accept those reasons, then you just don't win trophies. And these teams, as Jurgen calls them, the mentality monsters. It was great, and I'm expecting us to go to Arsenal, a very strong Arsenal team, an Arsenal team in great form and in a great moment, and I'm expecting us to grind it out again, because that's what we're doing, and they can sniff it. We've got the first trophy in the season. There is greatness out there for us this year. There's adventures to be had. We're in all the competitions. The draw has been kind to us, and we've got an amazing football team. Thiago's back. I mean, it's all there for us to do. And so look, I'm enjoying it. I enjoy I'm like you. I just love football, and it's never lost on me just how good this team is. So it's a privilege to watch them play.
It's a great answer. Yeah, I feel the same. I think it is a privilege, and I think we have to accept and trust as well in Alisson, because I think he deserves a lot of praise for the last 10 minutes, because he had bugger all to do, and then suddenly he was called into action 3 times in the last 10 minutes, and he came he was really good. He didn't try any of those weird, Cruyff turns today. He was sensible with the ball, and he bailed us out. A couple of great saves to keep the clean sheet. I don't know. I just think in those key moments, those harem-scarum moments, when you've got players with the defensive skill of Trent and Virgil and Joel and Robbo, then you've just got to trust them with Alisson behind them as just wonderful wonderful things. And as Gary says in the chat, Alisson is a gorgeous man. So there you go, Brian. What do you think about what do you think?
He's a beautiful man. I'm glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that, because I think people are starting to be worried about me and my affection for Alisson. But I just imagined him, he had nothing to do other than just kind of wisp his hair for most of the game. And then there's an absolute belter of a shot, and Alisson just puts his hand up like he's Thor from Marvel and just goes, "Do not pass go. Thou shalt not pass me." And then the final whistle goes, and he goes, "Right, lads, I'll see you later." Jumps on his horse, and off he goes into the distance with explosions everywhere. Another day at the office for Alisson.
That's it. It's exactly it. He's, his middle name is Ramesses. We all have to remember that. And,
of course it is.
Of course it is. Of course it is. That's obvious. You could have guessed it. Go on.
Oh, wait there. I just got news in. Alisson didn't go on his horse. He's actually outside with a ukulele serenading a beautiful woman. Because that's just the kind of stuff he does.
There you go. He's he's wonderful. It's wonderful to have the guy there, and that's something that we just got to enjoy. I mean, it's bad for my nails, it's bad for my heart a little bit, but it's just wonderful to watch when you think about the firepower up front. Gary said in the chat as well that he said a little bit earlier that Liverpool need a real number 9. I'm going to disagree with you there, Gary, because I love this new front three, and I want to ask your opinion about it, Brian. I love this new front three, the new one being Diaz, Mane in the middle, what Michael Jackson was talking to, and Salah on the right. And I think Mane's great because he's dangerous. He's unpredictable. He can tackle. There's that moment where he tracked back in the first half, flicked it over the defender's head. And yes, he should have passed. And yes, that's something that all three of them need to work on, is working together more. The decision-making at the key time. What's the best thing to do? Have a shot or pass? Because they got it all wrong many times today. But I love this front three. I mean, Bobby... any listeners to Cop On will know my adoration for Bobby Dazzler and Diogo Jota. We've waxed lyrical about him many times. But what do you reckon for the new front three? Mane in the middle. What do you reckon, Brian?
I think it's a new system, and I think it's not a new system because it's the same formation, but I think putting different players in different positions has quite profound effect on fluidity and way things happen. And so you've got, in effect, you've got two new players really, because you've got Diaz, who is new to the club, and then you've got Mane, who's been playing in Diaz's position for like 5 years here or something, whatever, how long it is. So I think it's normal that there would be some, like, a little bit of, rustiness, or I don't know, lack of fluidity. But I mean, we've got these amazing 5 players now. It's just saying that out loud is crazy. And the boss has to just find ways to get them all into the pitch, right? Would I have Mane up there normally? Probably not. I mean, the perfect situation for me is Bobby in form, because we had an interesting conversation tonight talking about this. I think because Bobby passes the ball, he doesn't care how the goal gets scored as long as the goal gets scored. I think sometimes Bobby likes a pass more than he likes a goal, and when he does that, like it's so much more difficult to play against the front three, because like Bobby could decide he wants to score, or he could just do something amazing and just play one of his teammates in. And you see, when he's in form, you see more beautiful team goals happening, right? And I think that kind of rubs off on the other two. And so rather than always going for the shot, sometimes they're more inclined to actually pass the ball off, because that's the vibe in the game, because Bobby's on the pitch, and that's what he sets out there. And when you have Mane up there, and everybody knows I love Mane, right? He's awesome, but I think he's in that kind of point to prove kind of moment where he's playing a new position. There's a lot of pressure. I mean, not this game, but the previous game, I think he played really well in that position. He was dropping back deep and creating space, and the ball was sticking to his feet and whatnot. But really good. I mean, I don't think it's the perfect formation of what we've got, but it's not a bad one by any stretch of the imagination. But I'm surprised that Salah has never been considered for that position as well. I suppose he's just so industrious and so amazing from the right flank, but he would have been my choice.
I get the feeling though that they just say to Mo Salah, "You're that good. What's your best position? Okay, you like that one? Okay, we're going to play you there." Because it's just like he's such a monster that he's just playing wherever he feels happiest, maybe.
Right.
I mean, looking at the stats today, I mean, it's kind of glaring out at me from the stats is that the amount of shots that each of the front three took far outweighed the key passes, when there were obvious key passes on at various times that we've already mentioned. So Mo Salah had 7 shots, 3 on target, 1 key pass. Sadio Mane had 4 shots, 3 on target, no key passes. And Luis Diaz had 2 shots, both on target, and 2 key passes. So of the 3 of them, Luis Diaz decided to pass more than the others.
Yes.
It's...
You felt that in the game as well.
Yeah,
you felt that because he for me, like, Diaz is playing the way when the front three was at their absolute pinnacle, they were all passing to each other and they were so fluid. And I remember all the pundits were saying, how do you play against these front three? Because one of them will get you. If it's not that one, it's this one, and they're passing together. And I think because they're all chasing such big accolades, not just the league titles and the trophies, but they're trying to be the best player in the world. They're trying to get the Ballon d'Or. Goals are just so important, and they're judged by goals, right? Say what you like. We all love Bobby, but if he doesn't score goals for long enough, then we love him a little bit less. It's unfortunately just a bit like that.
I don't know.
I don't, because I'm better than those kind of fans.
Well, I don't know. Like he got loads of what do they call it in Scouse language? They call it pelters. He got lots of pelters last year because his goals apparently dried up. I think he scored 1 less goal than in our championship winning season. Like his form didn't drop off. I think he had 2 fewer assists, and 1 less goal. And it was Mane who had the huge drop off last year, but Mane now in the 9, with the pace that he still has, because he's faster than Bobby. He seems faster than Jota. I don't know if that's true or not, but he seems like he is. And I just like his unpredictability there. And great to have Jack with us as well. He says, amazing result, gents. Get in. Yes, exactly. It was an amazing result. And we've got just one more thing really to talk about before we head into the evening or the night, or what time is it in Hong Kong, Brian?
It is the shank of the evening. It's I just looked at my clock. It says 23:50, so it's 10 to 12. So it's not too.
Wow, man.
too
Okay,
late.
well there you go. Well, thanks for joining us so late. This shank of the evening. Oh, speaking of that, happy. I think it was Joe Fagan's birthday today, which I haven't mentioned that I was planning on mentioning. So happy, heavenly birthday to Joe Fagan, who is, interestingly, here's a good trivia question for anyone listening. He is the last English manager to win the European Cup. And not only did he do that, he won the European Cup in Rome against Roma. So, in his first season as well. So let's remember that, and let's remember Joe, because no one ever talks about him enough. So there you go.
Fantastic that was.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
And I'm delighted to say that Fergus is joining us as well, just for the end of the show. But Fergus, this is great timing because we're about to talk about Arsenal. But how are you feeling? Are you buzzing after the wonderful result, Fergus?
Yeah, hi Owen. Sorry for joining you late. I was just
no worries.
I was washing up the dishes and all those domestic chores.
Yeah, good for you. Very good.
I've been only put them off for so long. I can get away with a 2-hour Liverpool match, and then I have to do some real work.
Yeah, great.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, what do you reckon to the 3 points today?
Brilliant. Difficult match. I was surprised. We know Brighton are a good side, but they really came out swinging today for us. Physically, it was difficult. I thought they committed a lot of fouls. Should have definitely been a red card for their goalkeeper. It was almost a murderous challenge.
Excellent. Okay.
I'm surprised he didn't go off. I mean, well, actually, I shouldn't be surprised because, the competence of the referees in England and the VAR officials, never ceased to surprise me, or the incompetence. That was clearly a red card. It would have been a red card anywhere on the pitch.
I would disagree with you, though. I would disagree with you. But there you go. We've talked about that. Brian would agree with you that it was a red card. And if we were able to implement my changes to the VAR protocol, then I would say that, each decision like that needs 3 people to decide. So, your 2 red cards would outvote my yellow card, and he would have been off. Because I might be completely wrong about that.
I mean, he basically almost took his head off with his foot. So whether it's intentional or not, intention doesn't come into it. I don't have the laws of the game in front of me. It's not about intention. It's about endangering the player, and the player was endangered. It was late.
Okay. Okay. But we're going to talk about Arsenal because we've covered this. We could talk about this for a lot longer. But we're going to talk about Arsenal, the next match. Looking forward to it. But in the context, let's just read you. I'm just going to read you, our results since the 16th of January when we beat Brentford 3-0 at home. Right, I'm going to go through them as quickly as I can. We beat Arsenal 2-0. We beat Palace 3-1. We beat Cardiff 3-1. We beat Leicester, 2-0. We beat Burnley 1-0. We beat Inter Milan 2-0. We beat Norwich 3-1. We beat Leeds 6-0. We beat Chelsea on penalties to win the League Cup. We beat Norwich City 2-1 at home. We beat West Ham United 1-0, thanks to Mane on the 5th of March. In midweek, we lost to Inter Milan, although we were very unlucky, in my opinion. And today we won 2-0. So that is the context of which we're talking about Arsenal. And Brian, you've got to be confident, even though it's at the Emirates Stadium. At the Emirates Stadium, just to give you a bit of context there as well, our last 5 matches, we've drawn 2, lost 1, and won the last 2 matches. We won 3-0 in April last year, and in the League Cup semi-final, of course, we won 2-0. So there you go. How are you feeling about this Arsenal game? And you mentioned earlier a little bit of trepidation.
Yeah, I mean the smallest amount of trepidation, because you always feel. I don't know about you, but I don't go into any game thinking this is done, regardless of whoever we're playing. There's always an element of kind of like, okay, we have to go and do it on a performance. But I mean, the trepidation stems from the fact that Arsenal are in a very good moment at the moment, and there seems to be some. They've finally found an identity, and Arteta seems to be gaining traction. There, he seems to be moving in the right direction rather than closer to the door. He's looking like he's going to be there again next season, and their tails are up, and they're chasing down the Champions League place. So it's going to be a good game. I mean, I think they're going to think that they can take all 3 points, and they're going to try and have a game of football with us. And that's the best we can ever hope for. I think if it just comes down to a straightforward football match and VAR don't get involved, and we're not dealing with some kind of weird combination of referees not seeing things or whatnot, then we'll win that game. But I think we need to. That's on Wednesday, you said, right?
Yes, yeah. As far as I can see, yeah. Let me just double check. Yeah, the 16th in 4 days.
Are they playing Leicester tomorrow?
City, I believe.
Oh, they're playing City, right? Okay. Wow.
Oh, sorry, no. Excuse me. It is Leicester City. I had in my head that it was Manchester City. No, sorry, it's Leicester City, the other city, the real city.
Okay.
But okay. So yeah,
that'll be a tough game too. I mean, I think that's going to be a tough game for them. No, I'm very confident, but it's going to be a tough game. I think we're going to have to really earn every one of those 3 points. And if we don't have the right mentality, then we will draw or we'll lose, because I think Arteta is keen to get kind of revenge, because I remember that, if you remember the game at Anfield, they were all over us until Arteta got up in Jurgen Klopp's face, and that was the key to the big turnaround, because fans just erupted, including me. I just got angry. How dare he? How dare he act like that in our home, of all places? And I think it transmitted itself to the team. So I think there might be an element of, like, there's a backstory to this game, that maybe Arteta wants to get one up over us, but we're just not going to let him have it.
He's a bit of a douchebag, in my opinion, but he seems to be doing well. Gary's feeling very confident in the chat. He says Liverpool to batter Arsenal. I would love that to happen at the Emirates. A bit of context, Fergus, for Arsenal is that in their last 5 Premier League matches, just looking at the Premier League, since the 23rd of January, because they had some big breaks, Arsenal drew with Burnley 0-0, and then they beat Wolves 1-0. They beat Brentford at home 2-1. They beat Wolves at home 2-1, and they beat Watford away 3-2. How are you feeling about it, Fergus? As confident as Gary?
I would say Arsenal are the form team besides Liverpool and Man City. It looks like they're on their way to tie up 4th place and beat Man U to Champions League qualification, which is obviously hilarious. I don't like Arteta, his antics on the touchline. There's a touch of the baby Pep about him, but at least Pep seems to be a reasonably nice person, whereas Arteta, you just don't know. You think he might be a bit vindictive or whatever. It's going to be a very tough match. Even I thought today was going to be tough, and it was tough. I think so. There's 2 things going into it. One is, of course, Arsenal are on fire, basically, well, as on fire as they've been at any time since the Wenger era. And it's only a mini run of very good results, but they are looking decent. So Emirates crowd will be up for it, especially against Liverpool. There seems to be a bit of a grudge against Liverpool on the Arsenal side, generated from Arteta or whatever, probably because he's trying to do his mate Pep a favourite at City. And then Liverpool are going through a bit of a scoring crisis, in my opinion. You saw that we were winning 2 and 3, 4 goals up until the last run of 5 games, and we've really been scraping results. Even today, we missed a bunch of chances. against Milan, Inter, we missed a bunch of chances and lost 1-0. So, our forwards are not firing. Mo Salah, okay, got his penalty today, but he's missed a lot of sitters, been hitting the post a lot. I thought Mane was excellent today. He's really surprised me in that centre forward role. Partly he stepped up with Diaz. Diaz is probably our best player now, and I include him ahead of Salah.
Controversial, but okay.
I know he's been fantastic, and I see that Salah is kicking up a stink about his contract, or at least he is via his agent. So, also controversially, if Salah's not going to fit into the pay structure of the club, no player is bigger than the club, and he can go. We can.
Yes.
We've signed the likes of Diaz. Diaz looks like Salah, but with rocket boosters. He's incredible. So if we switch the focus of our attack from right with Salah to left with Diaz, and we sign another player, on a half or a quarter of the wages of Salah, fine. I'm fine with that. We have a magnificent track record in the transfer market. I'm sure Liverpool have got 2 or 3 players lined up who will come in on a quarter of the salary of Salah. Salah's reached 30 anyway, If we can get a decent fee for him with a year to go, that's fine. Or if he works out his contract, that's fine as well, because he can't be asking for Messi and Ronaldo salary, because he does rate himself as one of the best players in the world, and he is. But we can't be paying him. He can't be looking for parity with Messi and Ronaldo and Mbappe, the other best players in the world, because Liverpool is not that club. As for the Arsenal game, it's a really crucial game. We do have to win. We're within 3 points of Man City now. City hopefully will stutter on Monday night against Palace. Monday night, 8 p.m. against Palace will be hard. The Palace crowd, when they're up for it, as Liverpool have found out to their cost in the past, are really up for it. They can really make a difference. 8 o'clock, all the Palace fans will be nicely tanked up after work. They'll have slung back 5 or 6 pints.
Yeah.
They'll be in full voice. And if they make a good start against City, that's great. Vieira has got his own axe to grind against City, against Pep. I don't think he got a fair crack of the whip in the City organization. So he'll be out to prove a point. And he looks like a really good manager. Palace are a tough team. That was one of our toughest games this season. And at home, under the lights, 8 p.m., after work, a raucous crowd. Good luck, City.
Because I had it in my head that City were playing Arsenal, but you're absolutely right. They're playing Crystal Palace in 2 days. They got 2 days to digest this result for Liverpool. This another 3 points, and you could see them getting the jitters. Just quickly on Salah's contract situation. I mean, I agree with you. I think it's very interesting that, he's a legend, and it's not easy to replace a legend. And I wouldn't expect anybody to get the same output as Mo Salah, because that kind of output happens. It's once, twice in 100 years, maybe. Look at Ian Rush, maybe 3 times. Ian Rush, Roger Hunt, and Mo Salah. Those 3 are the top 3, goals per minute strikers that we've ever had. Salah's ahead of Rush for FFS, if you want to avoid swearing.
I didn't know that.
Yes, absolutely.
Really
he's actually goals per minute. I believe he's ahead of Roger Hunt as well. Roger Hunt got to 150 goals in fewer games, but Salah did it in fewer minutes on the pitch somehow. Anyway, it's. I don't expect us to be able to replace that level of output, but there are so many players who can come in and add to the firepower we already have, and I don't even think you need to have anyone that clinical to win trophies. Look at Spurs with Harry Kane; they've won bugger all, despite him, consistently. getting tons of goals. Bayern Munich have only won the Champions League once only, is still a great achievement. But with, despite the fact that Robert Lewandowski has scored 40 in, I believe, his last 6 seasons in a row or something ridiculous. Brian, I'll give you the final word on this Salah contract situation before we call it a day, a night. What do you make of it all? Especially Rami, that immature, unprofessional agent, putting smiley faces, presumably in reference to Klopp, saying that the club has done all that it can. I don't know. What do you reckon?
I'm when it comes to things like this, I'm a little bit philosophical about it. What will be. I mean, I personally think I kind of slightly disagree with you guys in the fact that I really do think it would be good to have him play out his career at Liverpool. And yes, we could get more players in. There's a lot of players that could fit into the system that can do a lot. But I think people sleep on just how brilliant he is, and the levels of performance. And
I'm not.
No, I'm not saying you. I'm not saying you are.
I'm not gonna.
No.
Sorry, continue.
Yeah. No, it's okay. But I mean, there's an argument to be had on both sides. I think I trust the club. I trust the owners. They know what they're doing. But I will say this: they do have a track record of not giving in to wage demands. It doesn't matter who the player is. They have a number and then they stick to it. And so, but I think personally, he'd be absolutely crazy to leave Liverpool, because he's at a club that is completely set up for him from the ground up, for him to succeed and for him to be a legend and for him to have the nicest life he possibly can. They do absolutely everything they can to make him feel wanted and comfortable, and he's in a great team. I mean, he may not be getting the crazy money that's out there, but I mean, he doesn't how much money? I mean, yes, the footballers deserve their money. Good luck to them. Get as much as you can, I say. But sometimes you have to kind of make a decision. What do you want to achieve? And where does he go? Which teams does he play for? Because there's no teams out there that are set up like Liverpool are, that he's guaranteed success. Because, look at all the players that left us, the great players here, but they quickly become just another player in another team. Like I think of poor Gini over at PSG. I mean, it's heartbreaking watching what's happened to him over there. And if he went to Real Madrid or he went to Barcelona, it's like flip a coin. It's like, yes.
I think it's different, no, Brian. I do think it's different because I think Mo Salah is, truly, at the pinnacle of world football in terms of there aren't any better. I mean, for me, Kylian Mbappe is on his level. But it's not like Wijnaldum's a rung or two down the ladder.
No,
but,
sure.
In terms of the wages, just to bring you up on the point about wages, about looking for more. I did find a good table that someone put on a WhatsApp group. Cristiano Ronaldo, apparently, according to this table, I don't know who the source is, but he gets £510,000 a week. Kevin De Bruyne is second on the list for weekly salary with $400,000 a week. And you go through it all. David De Gea is third on $375K a week. Then it's Jadon Sancho, of all people. Then it's Rafael Varane. So there's a huge danger you have to take into account when you're thinking about Mo Salah's contract, that if you break our wage structure for Mo, you're going to have to probably break it to keep Virgil happy, to keep everyone else happy. It is a consideration because United broke their wage structure for David De Gea. And in retrospect, that was stupid. That has cost them millions and millions and millions, and arguably has kept them from being very competitive because he's a good goalkeeper. He's a very good goalkeeper, but he's not even a great goalkeeper. So then, $340K for Rafa Varane. I mean, what are they doing? Just send me some money. I don't know. I could do with some of that because you're wasting it on Varane. I don't know. At least I'll invest it in something like, I don't know, something more
NFTs.
worthwhile, like NFTs. Yes, for example. Yeah, Lukaku's next on 325k. Jack Grealish 300k. Raheem Sterling and 300k. Kante and Paul Pogba on 290k, Timo Werner 270k, John Stones, and it keeps going. It keeps going down and down and down. And Mo is on the list at, when you consider Edison Cavani's on 250k, and there are a few players between him and Mo Salah who apparently is on 200k. So you can see where Mo is coming from in saying that he's better than all of those players, and he should. You look at his agent's point of view is you have to look at the market rate, but the market rate is based on oil rich nations funding it.
I thought we had a sorry for interjecting, but I thought we had a kind of quite a flexible wage structure in the fact that there's tiers of wages in our club, and right at the top is that very special tier for truly world-class players or whatever, so they get paid that then it becomes all bets are off, and what is within reason, what is the rate, so it's not reflective of the whole team. Because I think actually, you make a great point about our wage structure, but we also have to be realistic, because if it's not just Mo, if we've got this great team, which we do, and if Mo is on that much money, and I'm pretty sure the rest of the team are not on great money either, comparably to all these other players, then it's only a matter of time before one or two of them start looking over the shoulder and go, hey, how come that guy's getting paid 300 grand a week? And I'm getting paid 120, and yet I've got 2 Champions League medals, and you know what I mean? So I think maybe the club needs to consider that, and there might have to be a little bit of a tweak where the players need to know that they can earn the really big money. Like we won't just give it out like willy-nilly, but if the player is genuinely considered the best in the world at what they do, then they don't have to leave Liverpool to get that crazy money.
No, you see, I disagree with that completely, because Liverpool have got a different financial model. We can't pump dollars out of the ground in the form of black gold. Okay, we have the best owners in football, FSG, and we have the best financial model in football, bar none. Perhaps, look at Bayern Munich, probably have the best owners in football. The German model is the best, where the fans actually own it. But unfortunately, that's been superseded and basically perverted by the oil money and Abramovich. The chickens have come home to roost for Abramovich, and Chelsea look like they could be in a very sticky situation. We can't compete, and we don't compete, and it's right we don't compete with that type of money. We don't have it, so it's impossible. What Liverpool have to do is punch above our weight, and that's what we do.
But didn't we have the highest wage bill? When the year we won the league, we paid the most money.
It's curious, yeah. Which source that you get, because the Swiss Ramble, who's a brilliant an analyst of the football industry, yes, he puts Liverpool's overall wage bill, because there are lots of players on high wages. I think we're about third or fourth in the league. But yes, but we're not. We're still far away from being able to sustainably afford to pay the big bucks. That's the thing. Is it sustainable, Brian?
I agree with both of you, and I'm not suggesting that we just turn caution to the wind, because I'm more than any football fan. I'm a big fan of the business side of the game, and it's something that has to be done. Unfortunately, it's the world we live in, and I've always thought the only way that Liverpool compete with these big oil-rich teams is that we need to have the smartest people in the room when it comes to scouting, statistics, commercial deals, all of that kind of stuff, and we do, by the looks of things, by and large. Although City have a reasonably good team as well. But we also have to be realistic. It's like I think when we won the league, we definitely did well, definitely. But a lot of sources would put us that we were paying the most money in the league to our players, by and large, for the most part. And there is a kind of theory out there that
was average. We weren't the highest payers, but we did have a lot of players on good salaries as opposed
Right.
to a few players on mega salaries, which is what Salah wants, and the rest on sort of average salaries.
Well, I mean, I think you guys make a very strong point in the fact that the most important thing for us, I think, in terms of the players is that we get them in their absolute best years, right? And so you could make the case that with Salah, we've seen a lot of that already, and maybe he has his swan song to play out at Real Madrid for ridiculous money. And can we do that? Just no, right? We just don't. We're not capable of doing that. We're not capable of saying, yes, here's your big truck of money. Carry on playing for us. And so if that's the case, then it's, yeah, I mean, it's a bit sad to think that then, really, because if it reminds me of when years ago when players had any kind of success at Liverpool, Barcelona and Real Madrid came knocking, or Bayern Munich, and you would just say, well, they're off, But now that doesn't happen, because, as Jurgen Klopp said, we're not a stepping stone club anymore. We're a destination. And for the most,
yeah, you're right, Brian. But what's thrown a spanner in the works is that for Salah, he has to realize there's more important things than money. So, he can leave and go to PSG, which is probably the only one who'll sign him. But he won't win the Champions League there, and he may well do with us, or he probably won't. So
he may well do with Man City, though, Fergus. I mean, if he's going to be mercenary, he could leave us either this summer or next year at the end of his contract for free and join City.
Yeah, that would say more about Salah's character than anything. Everyone knows that a Liverpool player shouldn't be joining Man City or Man United. So, if that's what he wants to do, fine. But he'll have a Michael Owen level of respect from
yes, that's
fans
true.
after
That's
that.
a horrible thing.
So really,
it's not worth it.
Yeah, I mean, how much money do you need? He's probably got more money than he can spend in his entire lifetime. He may judge his own success by winning the Ballon d'Or and by his salary being equal to the top players in the world. But in fact, maybe he's got to be a bit more realistic. Does he want to stay with a great club, have a great legacy, probably have a statue, if we ever do any more statues, or does he want to just cash in? And that's his choice, really. And I think FSG are right to stick to their guns. They have a financial model. They don't pump money out of the ground. They have a financial system which they have to stick to.
If I was his agent, I'd be demanding a statue. I'd be like, if you can guarantee a statue, my client will stay.
Yeah, maybe, or some kind of stamp for like the burger buns that they sell at half time at Anfield, or just with Mo Salah. I'd buy a burger. I mean, he's someone who's trying to cut down on red meat. But anyway, on that note, guys, those burgers look horrible as well. I saw a photo the other day.
I've seen that.
Oh man, disgusting,
Horrendous.
Embarrassing. Sort it out, Liverpool. But anyway, thanks, guys. On that note, it's been wonderful. At the moment, all we can do is just keep enjoying watching Mo Salah for as long as we can, and enjoy watching these lovely Reds. I do want to thank everyone in the chat, including is it Ankit from the Almighty Blues? The Chelsea fans joined us as well. It was really nice to have you with us. And to all the listeners, listen to the audio version. Absolute pleasure. Anyone can contact me, coponpodcast@gmail.com. It's been a delight to speak to you again, Brian, and to you, Fergus, as well. Absolutely lovely to have you with us. And take care, guys. You'll never walk alone. And I think we're getting there. I do. I think this could be it. I think we're hot on